Listening, Part 4. In Part 4 of the listening paper, you will answer 7 multiple-choice questions based on a conversation or interview between 2 speakers. The multiple-choice questions all have 3 options: A, B, or C. Only one answer will be correct. The questions are presented in the same order as the conversation, such that the answer to the first question will be heard first in the recording, then the answer to the second question, and so on, such that you can follow the conversation and the questions together. During the test, you will have 1 minute to read the multiple-choice questions before the recording begins. Let's try an example. In this audio recording, you will listen to a short excerpt from an interview with Rachel, who works in an art gallery. In the actual test, there will be 7 multiple-choice questions, and the recording will be about 3 to 4 minutes long. But for the purposes of our example, we will just listen to a short clip and answer one question. Before we begin the recording, let's take a moment to read the question. Now that we know what information we need to listen for, let's hear the short recording. Sometimes I spend nearly all day on the phone, and about 50% of the time it's artists. I send letters explaining why we can't show their work. Some of them phone up to argue about it. I find those calls very hard to deal with. Artists we do exhibit also phone to find out if we've managed to sell anything, and if we have, when the money will be coming through. I don't mind those so much. Most other calls are from clients. So, when can phone calls from artists be difficult for Rachel? If you answered C, you are correct. Rachel mentions that some artists phone her up to argue about why the gallery can't show their work, and that these calls are very hard to deal with. In other words, phone calls with artists can be difficult for Rachel when their work is not accepted. At the end of Part 4, the final part of the listening test, you will have 5 minutes to copy all your answers from the question paper clearly onto the separate answer sheet. Make sure that all your answers correspond to the right question number on the answer sheet. Tips: take advantage of the minute before the recording begins to underline key words in the questions. That way, you can anticipate what information you need to listen for. If you have time, write synonymous words next to these key words, or try to rephrase the question in your own words. Often the recording will answer the question using different words, like in our example with difficult and hard to deal with.